everyone. Welcome to Everything Product, the podcast where we discuss all things product management. And sometimes we make very bad jokes as well. Today, we have a very special topic for you, ChatGPT, the large language model developed by the company OpenAI. Joining me today is the awesome product managers, Sidhu and Srinath. And they'll be sharing their insights on this exciting technology as well, and hopefully not bore you to death. Awesome. Let's get started. So, Sidhu, why don't you start by telling our listeners a quick overview of what ChatGPT is?
Sure, Phani. ChatGPT is a language model that uses machine learning to understand and generate human-like text. And sometimes it's even better than some of us humans.
Awesome. Thanks for that quick description. Srinath, what do you think?
Sure. There are many advantages for ChatGPT. I mean, one of the key advantages is its ability to generate human-like text, which can be used in chatbots, virtual assistants, or any other conversational interfaces. Basically, it's just like having a smart friend who doesn't judge you for your terrible taste in music.
We will definitely judge you, Srinath.
I'm
For
sure.
everyone who's watching, right, in the last couple of minutes, whatever we spoke is a generated script given to us by ChatGPT. All we told ChatGPT is, hey, generate us a script for three of us to talk about in the Everything Product channel. So that's how powerful the ChatGPT algorithm is, and that's what's going to be our topic. Awesome. Welcome back to our channel, Everything Product. And coming back to our actual tagline, we talk about latest technologies with the product mindset. This is Phani. I'm a product manager at a startup.
I'm Srinath. I work as a product ops manager at Twilio.
I'm Sid Saladi. I work as a product manager for Best Buy.
Perfect. As we have already done the introduction, our topic today is the awesome AI ChatGPT. So Sidhu, let's start with a quick question, right? What do you think ChatGPT is, and why is that a big buzzword in the last few months?
Yeah, I'd say that ChatGPT, after it released, I think it got its first million users in 5 days. So that's like magic, right? So big apps like Netflix and all of them took months to get to that, but ChatGPT got it in 5 days. So yeah, getting into the crux of what ChatGPT is, right? I'd say it's as we read in the text, right? It's natural large language model that is trained on to generate human-like text. So anything that a copywriter does, or website landing pages, or giving you prompts to send emails and all of that stuff could be generated using ChatGPT. And so I'd say this was developed by OpenAI, and this has been trained on data 2021 and before. So it basically went through all the web, scraped everything, tried to understand it, and then analyze the data, and have context around it and all of that stuff. So once you give prompt to it, it will actually respond in its own way of understanding the web before 2021. So that's what ChatGPT is. Well, ChatGPT has a lot of different applications. Yeah, we'll get into it in the later discussions as we go.
Yep. I mean, in a very simple terms, if I can tell that, right? Basically, it's an assistant that's creating you content on whatever you want to talk about or whatever you want to write. Cool. Srinath, what do you think?
Yeah, as you said, in simple terms, it's basically a powerful AI chatbot with which you can interact and like a human. Basically, provide a question, provide a prompt, it will give you a response within few seconds. So, I mean, as you know, the AI revolution as well as the technology behind all this is called GPT, which is basically kind of running all the models and giving you the response in quick seconds. So yeah, so that's my take here.
Nice. Let's take a step back, right? So how do you think this algorithm is actually generating a text? Sidhu, probably let me start with you.
Yeah, so I would say so let's maybe compare it with Google, right? In as simple as it, right? Google, what we do is, like, if you want some information, I would say maybe I'm having a sore tooth. What are the symptoms? Or trying to understand what could I do and all of that stuff. Google actually throws you at a bunch of links where you actually have to scrape through all the data, trying to understand what might be the answer for the question which you have asked. But ChatGPT is a natural language processing model, right? What it does is it actually communicates to you like a human. So treat it like your buddy or your assistant, where you say, okay, I have so and so problem, what could I do? Then it actually puts it in a format which humans can understand it, and all the format, all the information which it put together is the understanding of the data out on the web. So there could be multiple different articles out there. So it basically looks at all of them, ranks them, and then formulates its own answer, and then puts it out saying, okay, this might be a solution for the question which you have asked. So that's the difference between what Google searches and what ChatGPT is.
Nice. So basically, it actually answers your question rather than just throwing a bunch of articles at you, and those articles might not even be relevant, or those articles might not be of interest for you.
That's right. And one other caution,
Yeah.
I think, is this might not be accurate all the time, right? So it's just like a human, it can create things out in the flow, right? So yeah, I'd say don't trust it for its word, but it's a really good model for a lot of different use cases, which might not be medical, which we have talked before, right?
It's in the phase of evolution, I think. Like,
Yep.
it's in very early stages. Just I think the trial version got released, I think, right, few months ago. I think as it improves, I think we can continue to see its improvements.
Yeah.
Cool. Srinath, probably let me ask you this. What do you think are the basic use cases that it's going to help in the near future?
Yeah, I think there are a variety of use cases that we can solve through ChatGPT. I mean, one of the key use cases is, for instance, if you want to write a code to build something, you can probably just enter, say, oh, develop an app with this feature, and it will automatically populate a code what you need. Other instances, for instance, if you are a designer and you need, oh, I need to build a design with a photo in it, and I need an edit option for that. So it will just go and build a design for you, which any designer can leverage. And there are various other use cases similar to this. For instance, I mean, I probably am in the similar boat. Like a lot of times, for instance, uh, we work in international and markets, right? But we don't understand the language completely, and the translation is so easy with Chat GPT. I mean, you don't need to type every time translate, but once you start using it, it learns about you, how you are approaching things, and automatically translate the remaining ones in whichever language that you need. um, Similarly, another use case which I also want to talk about, I'm sure you guys have tons of other use cases that you can talk as well, is reading like a lot of documentation. Sometimes when signing up for a credit card or when you're filling any contract documents, there's so much terms and conditions. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people are bored in reading that. So when you type some, like, just copy paste all this and just to paste it in a bot, it will tell you in simple terms in 3 to 4 sentences what exactly it's basically talking about, like telling to a second standard kid. So yeah, there are tons of use cases. I'll say these are a few.
Nice. So anything else you have on top of your mind?
Yeah, so as this application came out, right, I've seen like tons and tons of LinkedIn posts where people started putting together tips and guides around how to use ChatGPT. So fascinating, right? So many people trying to experiment with it, learning, and then also sharing that knowledge with all of them. So I was going through some of these, and I kind of made a list of like 7 or 8 use cases which people were using this for, and which I thought were really interesting. And the first one is um, um, uh, one pagers for products. I think product managers spend a lot of time writing one pages, right? So you try to understand what the product is, why, what, how, and all of that stuff, and try to concise everything into one page so that you can actually advocate against your product's mission, vision, and all of that stuff. So now you could do that using ChatGPT. I would say the quality might not match what you are trying to do, but sometimes you can just ask it. I was just putting together a prompt like, okay, act like a product manager for Instagram Reels. Write a one pager on introducing Instagram Reels to Instagram. So then it starts generating everything for me, right? Like, why is Reels important, and how did TikTok come in and take a market share, and all of that stuff, which I could have thought as a product manager to put it into a one pager, right? So what's the competition and all of that stuff. And you know to one up this one, you could also say, ask it to put it into a format which your company wants to, or your people understand to, right? And it actually does that. So I asked it to put it into a format of description, problem, why, success, audience, and what, how. It actually does that. So but that's great, right? So even though I might not like take everything, it's a good starter where I can start with, right? So that's a really good use case which I've seen, which product managers could use. So any comments on that? I can go into other use cases also.
No, we can up level that, right? So as product managers, the biggest documentation probably that we would write is the one pager. But if we think about it, the educational purposes, we spent what 20 years of life or 22 years of our life going through like different kinds of like subjects, study materials, courses, etc. And at each and every stage we write a lot, and in order for us to write a lot, we do a lot of research. And just to do that research, we spend a lot of time, which this thing could avoid. It could be seen both positive and negative, because it's positive because it saves me a lot of time in eliminating that research. It's bad as well because the moment I don't have it, I might be losing a lot of that knowledge that I could have gained by doing that research.
Yep.
So I could see both in a positive and a negative way, for sure.
Yeah. So what about you, Srinath? You want to add anything?
No, I mean, I see the pros and cons of it. Like, for instance, if you're writing a PRD, maybe if I don't use ChatGPT, probably probably there is a chance that I may think big as well at sometimes maybe some use cases and all that stuff, and where probably I need to do more research versus probably providing a standard template. But I still would love to use ChatGPT as a starting point because I think I mean it keeps it so simple. And the other one, which I also think about ChatGPT, I think it's just as Funny earlier said, it's just a revolution. It's learning about us a lot, and it's been tested. I think with billions of I mean data. It's been tested and all that trained. I'm sure um, as it matures, I think it will consume, compute a lot of this data and be more powerful as well. Probably some of the things which probably were taking even more time or impossible can be made more easy in future.
Yeah, that's right. So I feel that PRDs could be a place where we can use, but there are also upsides and downsides for that. For another use case which I was looking at was, right, whenever as a product manager, right, you do a lot of customer interviews, right? You gather customer feedback and all. For that, all of these conversations start through an email, right? You send an email to anybody who's your perspective or a user of your product, and once he accepts the invite, then you schedule and all of that stuff. So I see that when I have to do interviews, it's like sending a lot of emails, and you maybe get 10% reply back on those, and that's where you try to convert them into interviews and all of that stuff. But it's a lot of work when you try to write emails, because people tend to respond to emails which are customized rather than generic emails, right? Or mass email. So I think this is a great space to use ChatGPT, where you can ask it to write email to a user using your product, and you could also tell them this is this much time, this is the time which I would want, and maybe offer them a gift card and something like that. And I didn't actually, when I tried to prompt this in ChatGPT, it mentioned the gift card itself. I didn't prompt it to tell about it, so it knows, right? It actually thinks like a human. So that's very interesting. So I think that this use case would be actually really useful.
Yep. Actually, let me add a little bit on that, right? So upscale it that. So imagine the entire customer success teams, right? They respond to customers on a daily basis, probably like thousands or even like tens of thousands of times. So even if it eliminates probably like 10% of those responses, it saves like crazy amount of time for our team, where they can actually talk to customers in like in handling bigger issues, where anything minor can be automatically handled by ChatGPT. Like we can train it. I mean, right now the ChatGPT is very generic, but as it grows, like we can train it based on a specific product, or we can ask it to learn based on our product, and then we can ask it to like respond to the customers or any internal communications as well. Many times I might not know about a specific feature. I can just go to ChatGPT and say, hey, tell me about let's say TurboTax product and Intuit, etc. Then it can give me all the required details where I can avoid that conversations internally.
Yeah, so I think taking that one step forward, you go into a lot of websites, right? Amazon and all of them, and they actually start with a automated bot. And then once, if it asks you the basic questions, and if it's not able to resolve, it actually goes to an actual person, live person, right? But all of these bots are so dumb that a lot of people get frustrated, and they actually say, okay, they randomly answer questions without looking at them, and they say, okay, you want to go to a live assistant. Maybe having a chat gpt would be something like your personal sales assistant who's trying to help you navigate through the website. Maybe I'll go to Nike's website and say, okay, I want certain shoe with a certain size of a different color, and can you tell me if it's there or not? And also maybe chat with it, can you get me a discount on it or something like that, right? So that's a great use case where chat gpt can be used.
Yep, everywhere. Like again, upscaling that, everywhere you're saying basically a search can be used, or an alternate bot can be used. All of those situations, we can actually utilize ChatGPT and give a better performance.
Yeah. So there's
Yeah.
also sorry, Srinath, go ahead.
No, just adding to both your points, one of the use case which I personally experienced in my previous company is, I mean, like similar to what you said, right? Like our customer support agents or customer success. When a customer calls, there is very less time to respond to a question. But customer can ask any question. I mean, obviously, you cannot expect your agents to know answer for everything. And for that, they take so much time in searching for materials, training materials related to specific product feature for your launch and all that stuff. It used to take tons of time, but customer can get frustrated waiting on hold for a long period of time. If you build something like a chat gpt feature within our support agent tools, and if you are able to provide an answer so quickly, that's going to really improve customer experience and overall customer satisfaction. I think, I mean, just to add to what you guys both said.
Yeah, that's right. So one other tip was, this was like really a surprise to me, right? So this guy was actually asking ChatGPT to impersonate as an interviewer. So asking it to impersonate as an interviewer, and ask me questions on product management, case questions or something like that. And it asks a question, and then basically you answer and maybe type to go to the next question, and it actually becomes you're actually talking to a real person, right? It becomes a mock interview. Man, crazy ways people are using this, right?
We don't need people anymore, Siddha. We can just use ChatGPT.
Yeah, that's right.
Cost saving.
Cool.
Yeah.
Sidhu,
One
just to close on this topic, right? What are the other use cases that you have in mind?
So
Go ahead.
one other, this is a killer one. So this helped me a lot actually. So as a product manager, right? So you actually get pulled into a lot of different meetings where you kind of have to take notes, and you sometimes don't have context to what it is and all of that stuff. Note taking has been in a very big problem for me, and I also don't type that efficiently. So it's almost like scribbling notes for me all of the time. But this feature has really helped me a lot, where I put in the notes, and it actually organizes the notes into different categories and themes, and writes half filled notes into complete sentences. Oh, that's a killer option, at least for me, a time saver for me to help me organize all of my notes.
That's true. So basically, a personal assistant is being built for everyone.
Yep, that's right. Yeah. I think that there are
Cool.
definitely a lot of different use cases, but these were the ones which actually helped me a lot while doing some of the stuff which I do.
Yeah, makes sense. Actually, I have a question for both of you. Do you think this can be a Google killer? I'll start with Srinath.
I mean, I definitely think it can give a good competition to Google, but I don't think it will completely kill Google because I'm sure they're doing a lot of the AI stuff behind as well. And also, I mean, the Chat GPT is not completely, I mean, like, not always right, right? It's also a model. It's also learning, and it can be wrong at times. So I'm sure it will be a good competition, but I will not say it will be Google completely.
Yeah.
Sidhu,
What
what
do
do
you
you think?
think, Sid?
So my true sense, I think, you know, yeah, you never know, right? Anything can happen. It can kill Google, but I'd say at least my side, to be on Google side, right? I would say that Google has also invested in DeepMind, kind of a parallel to OpenAI, which is also working on language processing models and all of that stuff. And also Google has perfected the craft of indexing pages and showing search results for like more than 10-15 years, right? And they also have a profitable revenue model which runs on ads and all of that stuff. So I'd say ChatGPT is still in the exploration phase, right? So even though there's a lot of interest and it does a lot of work, I'm not sure how would that work with, you know, things like what Google does, right? And how the revenue model looks like. And I would say Google shows a bunch of links and it actually shows ads on top where it can generate revenue. So maybe ChatGPT should look at different ways on how it can generate revenue, because it's already, I think, burning close to $1 billion in maintaining all uh, the processing power and all of that stuff.
Infrastructure and
So
everything.
right, infrastructure, and also they should maybe generate a revenue model and see how they can. But definitely, it could be a tough competition to Google, is what I feel.
Got it. Yeah, I feel the same as well. Like, I don't think it'll kill Google, but it has the potential to capture some of the market share from Google for sure. Not just in the search business, because like we talked about, it could be customer support, it could be the general searches that's happening during the calls or the chats, etc. It could be capturing a lot of market through that, and it has a lot of potential for it. But in general, from a search business, getting it away from Google is not an easy task. And I'm sure, like Srinath was mentioning, right, Google has a lot of AI models obviously running on the search engine. So even though OpenAI just came out with one of their new products, but it might not beat Google.
But looks like Microsoft has plans to take over Google. Looks like I was looking at some stats, and Bing has like 7% market share in the browser business, and it's been trying. Microsoft has been trying to kind of encroach or capture some of Google's share, right? But Google still has lion's share, and that's why Microsoft invested like 10 billion into ChatGPT, and it's part of it. So maybe they would want to integrate that into Bing and all their other productivity apps, and maybe they have a plan to compete with Google at some point.
That's true. Let me turn the table, right? What do you think are the disadvantages of having ChatGPT? Sidhu, let me start with you this time.
Yeah, so I think we have touched on a couple of these points before, but I feel that sometimes it might bias you towards something, right? Like when you are open to creativity and you want to create something, you're open to a lot of different things which you could do. But where there is already text generated, you might just think in that norms or that boundary conditions which it tells you, right? So I think maybe balancing that would help you create better content, right? Or better PRDs or whatever I feel. So that's one use case, I'd say. The second one is maybe the information might not be right all the time, right? Because this is just looking at the data and all of that stuff from 2021 and beyond, right? So there's a lot of stuff which keeps coming up, and things change and all of that. So data might not be accurate. And the third one, which I would say, is uh, it's actually maybe it's all like stealing stuff, right? Because it's looking at stuff which other people have generated, right? That's original work, and it's understanding that and putting that out. I don't know if it's that's called stealing or not, but maybe referencing to the work which people have contribute towards, or done original work, would maybe help chat gpt through get through that thing of stealing stuff from others and all of that stuff. So I'd say these three would be some of the disadvantages here.
Srinath, what do you think?
Yeah, I think have similar ones which Sidhu has called out earlier. And one is basically generating net new knowledge. I think it's basically learning about us and probably populating information on how we talk in general and how we think. But rather than coming up with like kind of a net new things that we may not think of. So thinking out of box, creativity, that's like what Sidhu was earlier talking about. And the other one, I think I also have again, sorry for repeating the same thing, but I also have a similar one which I can think of at this point is uh, errors. I mean, it can be error prone. It's not like 100% true. So we should not assume that whatever ChatGPT says, just go and put that in production. So just validate it before we doing it. Take it as a good start, but not take it as like 100% correct.
That's true. Yeah, I have similar thoughts as well. Like, it's gonna give you one direction, but it's not gonna give you a broader picture of what other things are there. So it might bias you into things, and at the same time, it's an algorithmic generated outcome, which basically means that it's either uh, it's either someone's thoughts or it's some people's thoughts, because at the end of the day, it's a model that was trained by using few humans inputs, and then obviously it went on like continue to self-learn itself. So unless and until you give that input based on like multiple cultures, multiple languages, multiple locations, etc., it might always be biased to the inputs of certain region or a certain location or a certain kind of or a certain culture of people.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome discussion. So probably let's end the discussion with a couple of things, right? If there is two takeaways that you want our viewers to take from this podcast, what do you think those two would be?
Yeah, funny. So I'd say my two takeaways are not the first one is uh, I know I would love to try more things out and share with everybody and how it works. But try out the organized notes. It's helping me a lot. So that's one takeaway from my side. And if anybody finds any other interesting use cases, please comment and also subscribe to our channel.
Srinath, what are your two takeaways?
Yeah, my biggest takeaways is, I mean, when you're trying to probably search for an answer, don't, I mean, again, think big, but at the same time, probably don't waste time if it's not needed. Just try ChatGPT for your needs. It solves many use cases. And second thing is, and I think as many PMs out there probably are already writing PRDs or wondering how to write a PRD and that kind of stuff. I mean, ChatGPT has a pretty good feature on how to write a PRD when you just populate kind of the idea that you're thinking about and just describe what it is with few details. It will populate a PRD template for you, and which makes it so easy. So the number of use cases, I'll say these two, and probably the third minor one, not minor one, but biggest takeaway is don't trust it completely. Take it as a starting point.
Cool. I'll probably end it with my takeaways. The first one I could think of is, in general, the industry is trending towards a place where everything is being considered AI first. So I think ChatGPT is in that direction. So for anyone who's watching, right, try to spend some time on understanding how the industry is changing, what kinds of AI models are coming up. Probably spend some time learning. And the second one, like Sidhu said, right, try it out. Anything and everything that you're trying to do, try out ChatGPT, see what it predicts, and then try to utilize some of it in whatever you're trying to do. It could be writing, it could be talking, etc. Cool. Awesome session, guys. Thank you so much for your time. And for everyone who's watching, If you like our podcast, please subscribe to the channel, and thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.